Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Vidhiyate.
Namaskaram Jayakumar ji. Namaskar him.
Namaste. Namaste. Okay, so Rukmini ji, go ahead, remain unmuted. We are going to chant the next or the stotra, that line we were chanting, Shrotrasya Digdevata. So just everybody repeat after me, and only Rukmini ji is unmuted.
Okay.
Shrotrasya Digdevata Tvacho Vayuhu Chakshushas Suryaha Rasanayaha Varunaha Granasya Ashvinau Iti Jnanendriya Devata. Okay. So, Mahesh, you can unmute yourself. Just a couple of us, just for feedback. So, last class, if you recall, we covered an important topic of Devata. What is Devata? How do we comprehend Devata? So, a Devata is, if we appreciate the sense of hearing, then we put together all the functions, all the laws that are responsible for activating this sense of hearing, that constitute the sense of hearing. And those set of collective functions, which we call the hearing collective, and which we can call the hearing phenomenon. So there are some nice words. in English that we can use. Phenomenon is a nice word. I like that. Are all phenomena connected with the sense of hearing, if you want to use that. So that collective order is referred to as Devata. See how important it is. And because for us, Ishvara is not separate from this world. This world is a manifestation of Ishvara, not a mandate of Ishvara. So you scratch off the word mandate, correct? Mandate means it is his order, therefore the world has come. It is his order, therefore I am like this. So it is his this, his that. That is what we heard as children. But now we are nothing wrong per se with that idea. It gives us reverence. It helps us appreciate this whole order. But once we grow up, we are beginning to question, inquire into this whole idea of creation and creator and the self. And so we are now seeing Devata as a part of this creation, one aspect of this creation, one faculty, if you want to say, especially referring to the human body, various faculties are there. So that collective order, a specific collective order, can be called a Devata. Very important. So he has listed all these different Devatas. Shrotrasya Dik Devata, Chakshushaha Surya Devata. So many of you do Surya Namaskar or have done before, chanting all these mantras, right? Om Khram Mitraya Namaha, Om Hrim Ravaye Namaha, ityadi. Yeah. So all these are Mitraha, Ravihi, Suryaha, Hiranyagarbhaha, Savita, ityadi. All these are names of Surya Devata. So we saw that last time. Okay. So we covered hearing, eyesight, skin, right? Tvacho Vayuhu, and then Rasanayaha Varunaha. Rasanayaha Varunaha. Rasana, that sense of taste. The Devata is Varuna. Varuna is the Lord of waters. We know that. You know, you go to Marina Beach in Chennai, or you go elsewhere, go to stand in a beach, and you see this vast expanse. There is no human being on earth who has not been mesmerized by this sight. Because, my God, as far as the eye can see, there is water. And even big ships are simply shaking like this. They seem helpless. And such power is there. So we say Varuna Devata. That same Varuna Devata is the Devata of Rasana, a sense of taste. So it is like sometimes, people holding portfolios. They say Piyush Goyal has the portfolio of railways, right? I think Piyush Goyal, if I'm not mistaken. So, but then suddenly Modi said, no, thou shall have the portfolio of finance also. Because Jaitley is not well. Jaitley is somewhere, he's undergoing some surgery and all that. So Piyush Goyal has now 2 portfolios. So likewise, Varuna has 2 portfolios. One is all waters he is managing. And suddenly he gets called and said, by the way, this taste, you just take care of that. Okay, I will do that also. So some people are capable of doing multiple things. So Varuna comes in that category. And because water also is very much operating here in the on the tongue, I suppose that's why. Okay, then Granasya Ashvinau. Ashvinau. So the word Ashvinau in Sanskrit is dual. Ashvinaha singular, Ashvinau dual, and Ashvinaha plural. So here dual is used. So we can infer that is because this sense of smell happens through two nostrils in the human being at least. And so Ashvina Devataha, Ashvinau, they are the presiding deities, if you want to translate it into English. They are the devatas of the sense of smell. Granasya Ashvina. Okay. So I think translation wise, there is nothing much to do here. I think straightforward. So we will move on to the next statement the author is making. So Mahesh, you're unmuted. So go ahead. You can repeat. Everybody can repeat. We're going to the next one. Next statement. Shrotrasya Vishayah Shabdagrahanam Tvacho Vishayah Sparshagrahanam Chakshusho Vishayah Rupagrahanam Rasanayaha Vishayah Rasagrahanam Granasya Vishayah Gandhagrahanam Iti. Okay. So, yeah, Mohini, you can also unmute yourself. Just want a couple of folks to provide feedback. Okay. So here now the author has, like teaching children, he has now said, what is the sphere of action of all the jnanendriyas? What does the ears do? What is their function? That is what he's saying here. So not very complicated. So Shrotrasya Vishayah. Word Vishaya has a lot of meanings. Vishaya means topic of discussion. What is the topic? This book is there. What is the Vishaya? What is the author writing about Vishaya? So that is the main thing. Vishaya also means object. Object. Vishaya means object. Object of. So the object of the sense of hearing, in other words, the area of operation, in other words, what the sense of hearing, what the ears are focused on, can only focus on, is the sounds. They can only pick up sounds, correct? Mm-hmm. So that is why if our eyesight is failing, and if a person is almost, clinically blind and all that, so that person cannot say, okay, show me, let me use my ears and see. Can't say that. Because how much ever we try, however good the hearing is, the hearing only operates in a particular area. It can only give you that kind of data of sounds. Like a thermometer can only indicate you temperature. It can't indicate anything else. So, Shrotrasya Vishayah Shabdagrahanam. sense of touch, he says, Tvacho Vishaya Sparsha Grahanam. Sparsha Grahanam. So we should infer from here that sense of touch, so by which we can identify temperature, heat, we can identify softness, hardness, so these kinds of things. Very amazing how it works. We can touch and close our eyes and touch it, and suddenly we say, oh, is this a flower? So because something that tells us, oh, this is not like a piece of cloth, this is not like paper. You start eliminating all those things and you hone in on, oh, it's a flower. And then you want to confirm it's a flower. Then you can take it to your nose. Because a flower in general might have a smell, and the smell comes, and then you say, yeah, it is flower. Confirmed. So, Granasya Vishayaha Gandha Granam. So, this Grahanam is an interesting word. Grahanam, we use the word in Tamil Nadu, we use the word Grahanam to mean eclipse. Correct? I'm sure that word is probably used, probably is used in the north also, right? Grahanam. Grahan, आज क्या ग्रहण है? आज तो चंद्र ग्रहण है. So, grah, to grasp, that is the meaning of the dhatu, in the sense of grasping. So it's as though when you say lunar eclipse or solar eclipse, it's as though sun has been grasped by the moon, correct? The moon has hugged the sun, and so we can't see the sun. Sun is hidden from us. So grasping, that is the idea there. So here also, it is as though the sense of hearing, the ears are grasping all the sound objects, all the sources of sound, as it were. So grahanam, grasping, receiving, reception, ityadi. And this nostrils, again, dual function, you can say. Sense of smell, all right, but also the main object of breathing. This is how the breathing occurs. So the prana vayu goes through the nostrils. And along with that, the sense of smell is also combined. Nasika. Okay, nothing more to add to that. So now let's go to the next one he's doing is Karmendriyani. So we covered this earlier. Senses of perception are called Jnanendriyani. The 5 senses through which we get data from the world. We keep getting data. So in sciences, they will say input. If there's a system, if body is looked at as a system, then they will say input. Input means data coming into the body. This Pancha Karmendriyani are organs of output. This is how the body expresses itself, provides data into the world. Okay, what are they? So let's say Sunita can unmute yourself. So Mahesh, go ahead and mute yourself for now. Vak.
Vak.
Pani.
Pani.
Pada.
Pada.
Payu.
Payu.
Upasthani.
Upasthani.
Iti.
Iti.
Panchakarmendriyani.
Panchakarmendriyani.
Okay. Mahesh, you can unmute yourself. Yeah, so here, let's do this. Let's actually go to the next one also and read the Devatas. These Pancha Karmendriyani also do not function without Devatas. And let's read that just to maintain the continuity. Sunita. Vacho Devata.
Vacho Devata.
Vannihi.
Vahnihi.
Hastayor Indraha.
Hastayor Indraha.
Yeah, everybody can repeat. Padayor Vishnu.
Padayor Vishnuhu.
Payor Mrityuhu.
Payor Mrityuhu.
Upasthasya Prajapatihi.
Upasthasya Prajapatihi.
Iti Karmendriya Devataha.
Iti Karmendriya Devataha.
Okay. So five organs of action. So vak, speech, organ of speech, mouth, tongue, you can say. Pani. Pani means hands. Pani means hands. So that is why if somebody says Kodanda Pani, Kodanda Pani, means one in whose hands there is Kodanda. That is the literal meaning of that word. And Kodanda means one who is living in the Indian culture knows Kodanda refers to the bow. It is the name of the bow of Rama. And therefore, only Rama can hold Kodanda. And therefore, Kodanda Panihi means Rama. Correct? So like that, Danda Panihi. So in Tamil Nadu, very famous Danda Panihi. So Danda here refers to this trident that is held by Subramanya Swami. Trident. So Danda Panihi automatically refers to Muruga, Subramanya, Kartikeya, Shanmukha. Panihi. So Pani means hands. Vak, Pani, Pada, legs. Payuhu, organ of excretion, organ of evacuation, organs of clearance. Include both kidneys and the large intestine, anus, etc. Both we include because through both we have excretion happening, excretory system. Then upastha. Upastha, organ of procreation, genitals. Upastha. So he says these are the five organs of action. Pancha Karmendriyani. Nothing much to add there. Except to say that, yeah, these organs of action also, by the way, there are devatas associated. And so he has already listed those devatas. Vacho devata vannihi. See, so when we chant, sometimes we will say vachaha, sometimes we will say vacho. So I cautioned you earlier before that this visarga sometimes will become o. So vacho, vachaha. So you can expect that words, often these words ending with o are really ending with a visarga. And so we might chant as vachaha, etc. So no need to be surprised by that. And here vachaha means of the organ of speech. The devata is vannihi, agnihi. The Lord, the fire god, is the presiding deity of the organ of speech. So why is that? We should think about it a little bit. What is the function of fire? What is the function of fire? The first function of fire is prakashatmika. It illuminates. Fire is a source of light. There is no other source of light in this world. Even if you say the bulb is a source of light, there also through electricity there is some heat happening and which creates a type of fire and which illuminates. So, primary function. Here we should focus mostly on the source of light, not source of heat. Why is that? See, very interesting. If we look at Sanskrit grammar, suppose somebody wants to talk in communication. I want to talk. The first thing I must be concerned about is what topic I want to talk about. Correct? What is the topic? Is that topic worthwhile to talk about? First thing. So, I want to talk about Rama. Ramayanam. So, Rama becomes the topic. And so, in Sanskrit grammar, because that is the first thing that the speaker should worry about, is that topic worthwhile? That Ramaha, that topic becomes Prathama Purushaha. Prathama Purushaha, first person. The first thing I must worry about, I must think about. What topic to talk about? Correct? First person. In English, it's different. We'll come to that in a minute. English, it's called what? Third person. Correct? Third person. Okay. Back to Sanskritam. Next thing I should think about is, who am I talking to about this topic? So somebody must be there to listen to this. So is there a person interested in listening about Rama? That is the next question. Is there a person willing to listen to what I am going to talk about? So I have a pressure to vent out. And so somebody asked me, how are you in the morning? My neighbor is there. He asked me, how are you, Jayakumar ji? And how are you, Jayakumar ji? Is a very simple question. And then the person comes out and he starts with the first marriage onwards, second marriage, third marriage. He's just going on and on. Hey, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. People are busy. They have to take a shower. They have to make breakfast. They are going to send children to school. And mother is going back and forth. And father is busy. Children are running up and down, getting ready to go to school. This guy is starting his Ramayana. Hey, who wants to hear about all this at 7 o'clock in the morning? So, this person has forgotten completely. Just because there is something to talk, you can't simply talk. You must think about this Madhyama Purushaha. In Sanskrit, it's called Madhyama Purushaha. Somebody willing to listen. That you is Madhyama Purushaha, correct? So, that you, hey, are you interested in this topic? That is the next question I need to ask myself. And then if the answer comes, yes, very much, then only I can open my mouth. Then only the third is this Uttama Purushaha, who is about to open his mouth, her mouth. That is called Uttama Purushaha. This Uttama in Sanskrit also has one more meaning. See, Uttama main meaning is what? Superior, best. These are the meanings for the word Uttama. Uttama Purushastvanyaha Paramatmetyudahrataha Bhagavad Gita. So Uttama Purusha, the most superior, the thing that you have to reckon with. Uttama. But here Uttama doesn't mean that. Here Uttama has another meaning which means last. The second half, the last half, the last portion. Like that also there is a meaning for Uttama. And that is the meaning to be given here, Uttama Purusha. So the last thing, the least important is the speaker, so to speak. So this psychology, look at how much psychology is there in the way they have designed this grammar, Sanskrit grammar itself. Prathama Purushaha is topic. Bandhyama Purusha is the listener, the audience, and Uttama Purusha finally is I, Aham, Avam, Vayam. That is the last thing. So, this psychology, we can now connect with this this Devata of Vak. Vak is supposed to illuminate. Any talk is supposed to be illuminate. Should help somebody. It should help the audience for sure. And if it helps the speaker, also fine, no problem. Many teachers say that, hey, when they start teaching, that is when they begin to learn a lot. So, very true, very true. A teacher who's really serious about the subject matter will learn, no doubt about that, while teaching. Because the preparation has to come, and suddenly ideas come, connections come that did not come before. And there is a lot of discipline being exercised, because simply the teacher cannot say whatever he or she wants. And there is an order in which to say. The teacher has to put himself or herself in the shoes of the student and think, what did the student understand when I make this statement? That thought also has to happen along when the words are being spoken. So, very responsible job. I think teachers should be one of the highly paid professions in a civilized society. I am very convinced about that. And we need to work towards that. No doubt about that. So, this pressure to talk today, these days, when people meet, there is a pressure to talk. Conferences are there, and we have dinner meetings, lunch meetings, and all that, and or just parties and all that. And often one senses that one has to say something. What are you doing? You have to say what you're doing. If you're working, you should talk about your work. If you're a homemaker, then you must say what you're doing at home. Otherwise, what do you mean? You must have something to talk about. You can't say, I sent my children to school. Hey, what do you mean? I sent my children to school is such a big job. Did you ever try sending your children to school? You simply got up in the morning, read the newspaper, somebody got coffee, somebody got breakfast, and you walked away to office. What do you know about sending children to school? What do you know? Nothing. This guy doesn't know anything. And he says, homemaker, you're a housewife and all that. It's all wrong thinking. So pressure to talk. What did you do? I didn't do anything. I'm just a mother of 2 people. That's all I am. That's all. Nothing else. Now you make out. You decide. Nothing to talk. I did the same thing today that I did yesterday, which I did day before yesterday, which I did last year, which I did 2 years back, 5 years back. Same thing I'm doing today. Nothing to talk. Did you see this movie? What is that movie? This Surgical Strike, Yuri. I went to the movie after a long time. We went to a movie, and thanks to Swapna, who is there, and I put this on Facebook and asked anybody in Coimbatore ready to go to a movie, because I have not gone to a theater in a long time. I may need help also to find out the theater and buy tickets and all that. So I just put the word out. And Swapna is visiting from US. She's here right in front of us. And she said, let's go. So on a Sunday morning peak hour, peak hour means what? Holiday, Sunday morning, generally we might study or whatever. We both decided we will go and see the movie. So movie ho gaya. So something to talk about. We have this Yuri to talk about. But is it worthwhile? Something we engage in talking, and then after a point, it just keeps on dragging. Just put a full stop and say, okay, this is enough. We're done with this. After that, we are just wasting time. Wasting time, no more enlightenment. Agni has gone. Agni is just dying away. Just it was big flame. Now it is just a small little ember. That's all. So all these things we can remember when we have conversations. And so generally they talk about three things. Vak tapas. Vak tapas means three things. First is, of course, one way of analyzing is this: Prathama Purushaha, Madhyama Purushaha, and Uttama Purushaha. Second way of looking at it is Satyam Vada. Correct? Satyam Vada. When you have decided to speak, now what rules can I follow when I speak? If I ask, then we will say Satyam Vada. Speak what is right, what is true. If you don't know, just say I don't know. Better. Don't confuse people by saying things that you don't know. Second, Hitam Vada. First is Satyam Vada. Second is Hitam Vada. Say things that are useful to people, useful to the audience. Because, so somebody comes and says, hey, what kind of shirt you are wearing? It is too gaudy. What? It's too gaudy. Because we ask, why do you say this? Hey, my teacher told me Satyam Vada. So I am going to say everything that is truthful. So everybody, gaudy, in Tamil Nadu, you come, there's a particular idea. America, there will be particular idea of good dress and all that. Oh, this is too gaudy. Oh, your sari is too gaudy. Or a sari is too bright. Apah, you change the sari, So, what? Because Satyam Vada, right? This guy believes in speaking the truth. And so wherever he goes, he speaks the truth. Arey bhaiya, Hitam Vada, Satyam Vada, okay. But Hitam Vada, what you say must be useful. This statement is not useful to anybody. It is going to hurt people big time. And if you keep doing this every day, then you are finished. You will be alone, left alone. So Hitam Vada. Then the last thing is sometimes you have to say things that can be hurtful, correct? Can be hurtful. So third thing is Priyam Vada. Priyam Vada. Satyam Vada, Hitam Vada, Priyam Vada. So simple, three rules are there that if we follow, then our communication will be fantastic and we will minimize hurt. Not hurting is impossible. It is impossible for anybody to not hurt. Very difficult, because somehow, somewhere, somebody is going to interpret your words in a way that is going to hurt them, correct? And so we can't prevent that. But keep this in mind. So, Vacho Devata Vannihi, Agnihi. The Lord of illumination is the presiding deity of speech. And then we have Panihi. Panihi, it stands for strength. Hands generally stands for strength. And so Indra is the Devata. Hastayor Indra. Dual again. Hastayoho is the dual. Indra is the Devata of the two hands. Then Padaha, legs, locomotion, takes us places. And so legs allow us to be at multiple places. And so Vishnu, being the Sarva Vyapi, being all pervasive, they said Vishnu is the Devata of the Pada, of the legs. Because apparently he takes us places. Okay, then what else? Payu, the sense of the organ of excretion. So, Payoho Mrityu. The Yama Devata is the presiding deity of the organs of excretion. So when the kidneys are not functioning properly, then we invoke Yama Devata. We invoke Lord Yama and worship him like we worship Aditya when we want to improve our eyesight. So here Yama Devata for Vayuhu. And then Upastaha, the organ of procreation. So Prajapati. Prajapati is none other than Brahmaji. Brahmaji, so-called creator, we say. So that Brahmaji is the Devata of the genitals. Upastaha. Okay. So then he is talking about further what is the Vishaya. Just like the sense organs, what is the Vishaya is going to talk about. So let's chant this sentence. So who, Bhuvanesh, you want to do that? So go ahead, everybody mute themselves except Bhuvanesh. Vacho Vishayah.
Vacho Vishayah.
Bhashanam.
Bhashanam.
Panyor Vishayah.
Panyor Vishayah.
Vastu Grahanam.
Vastu Grahanam.
Padayor Vishayah.
Padayor Vishayah.
Gamanam.
Gamanam.
Payor Vishayah.
Payor Vishayah.
Malatyagah.
Malatyagah.
Upasthasya Vishayah.
Upastasya Vishayah.
Anandah iti.
Anandah iti.
Okay. So, so a couple of you can unmute yourself. So Bhuvanesh and so maybe Sunita. So again here, nothing complicated. So what is the portfolio of these devatas is being described here. Vacho Vishayah. Bhashanam. And so Bhashanam, speech, is the sphere of action of this, of the sense of speech, the mouth, the tongue. Panyor Vishayaha Vastu Grahanam. So the main function of the hands is grasping of things. So scratching at the back and all, of course, very useful sometimes, no doubt. We do a lot of things. And Vastu Grahanam, that is what we say. And the other day we said, teachers love to hold on to this ear. And so Vastu Grahanam, very amazing. Somebody the other day was talking about how he was describing how the hands operate and how the hand listens to the brain and all the communication that is happening and how it does things and how it is so difficult to replicate this operation, etc. So we can appreciate that. Panyor Vishayaha Vastu Grahanam. So Padayor Vishayaha Gamanam, movement, locomotion is the function of legs. Payor Vishayaha Malatyagaha. Malatyagaha. Tyagaha is giving up, letting go, releasing, clearing of Mala. Mala, of course, means refuse, impurities, etc. So Payor Vishayaha, the function of that organ of excretion is excretion, of course, release of waste products. Upastasya Vishayaha Anandaha iti. So the function, the primary, there is a certain Sukha Vishesha. There is a certain Ananda, joy, when it comes to this organ of procreation, the genitals. So that's what the author says here. Okay. So this is all we have to say for this, for the sphere of action of the Karmendriyani. Pancha Jnanendriyani, Pancha Karmendriyani. So we have to go back to the context. Atma kaha. Correct? That was the question. So Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharirat, Vyatiriktaha. Correct? That is how we started. Then we went into Sthula Shariram Kim. Then Sukshma Shariram Kim. And Sukshma Sharira had this Pancha Jnanendriyani. Then Pancha Karmendriyani. So Pancha Manas and Buddhi was already covered. Okay. And then Pancha Karmendriyani was covered now. Pancha Vayo, Pancha Pranaha already covered before. So Sapta Kalabhisaha was there. Sapta Dasha Kalabhisaha, right? 17 things. So here is the last 5 things he's covered. Pancha Karmendriyani. So now the Sukshma Shariram is covered. So he's going to talk about Karana Shariram. Okay, so let's do that. Swapna, are you available to chant?
Yes, Jayakumar.
Okay. So we can't see you. Everybody else remain muted. Karana Shariram Kim.
Karana Shariram Kim.
Anirvachya.
Anirvachya.
Anadi.
Anadi.
Avidya Rupam.
Avidya Rupam.
Sharira Dvayasya.
Sharira Dvayasya.
Karana Matram.
Karana Matram.
Sat Swarupa.
Sah Swarupa.
Sat Swarupa.
Sat Swarupa.
Ajnanam.
Ajnanam.
Nirvikalpaka Rupam.
Nirvikalpaka Rupam.
Yadasti.
Yadasti.
Tat Karana Shariram.
Tat Karana Shariram.
Good. So you can mute yourself. So Hem and Mohini, you can unmute yourself. So we are entering Karana Shariram. What is Karana Shariram? The author is asking and explaining. So here we need to spend a little time. So going back to our basics of Vedanta, how we introduced Vedanta, why we got into this inquiry. So I'm leading a life as like everybody else, and then there's a constant struggle to be somebody, struggle to be happy. We saw all that. Struggle to eliminate all dukkha and gain things which make me secure. We talked about Purushartha. But even in the Purushartha, which are Artha, Kama and Dharma, it doesn't seem to satisfy me completely. Because at any moment I can become sad. And so the question arises, is there any end to this kind of lifestyle? Can I ever say, I'm happy always? And we converted that to, can I ever say I am adequate? I am comfortable with myself. Am I adequate? There is nothing else that is needed. Am I free? This is how we discussed. And so the Shastram does come to our rescue. And the Shastram says, yes, there is a solution. The reason you are suffering like this is because you have misunderstood yourself. You have thought that you are a mortal. You have thought that you are a mortal, and I am subject to disease. I am subject to being victimized by people, being victimized by animals, like small animals like mosquitoes also. That is my lot, and that is who I am. I've taken myself to be this body and this mind and so forth. So Shastram says, okay, this body is you, but you are not the body. So there is something called self-ignorance. Correct? We saw all these things. So they are just invoking, recalling whatever we have studied. Self-ignorance is there. And so we must pursue this particular topic of self-ignorance in order to understand who we are, in order to understand our role in the scheme of things, in order to appreciate what is yet to be appreciated. And the good news is that Shastram has brought our inquiry, brought our drishti, our vision to ourselves. And that is good news, because if the drishti is always outward, where can I go to be happy? What can I do to be happy? That becomes the inquiry. Then it becomes a big trip. I will end up with heaven and things like that. Then my focus will become, what should I do to go to heaven? Okay, that becomes the trip. And so you can imagine how important this Atma Vidya is. If I exclude myself in this inquiry, then that becomes a trip. Correct? If I exclude the self in this inquiry, then it becomes a trip, because whatever is going to be told will not include me. And so it is now a question of how can I go there? How can I accomplish that? Etc. So it becomes a karma. And what can I do to go to heaven? Beautiful. So that is why then the Shastram says, yes, Atma Vidya is there. And so that is you have to focus on that and understand that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not my senses, etc. And who you are also, you understand in the process. Okay. So therefore, there is something called ignorance. Shastram has told us. That ignorance is called avidya. Avidya. So because he has used the word, the author has used the word avidya. Now, avidya can be of anything. I don't know anything about this galaxy, Milky Way. They have done so much research. They have named so many stars. I don't know anything about all that. So there is avidya of this galaxy, Milky Way. Only thing I know about Milky Way is its name, and that name they say is Milky Way. Oh, that's all I know. My knowledge of Milky Way stops right there. Beyond that, it doesn't extend. So much avidya is there. Yeah, so there is avidya of so many things in this world. That is not the avidya that we are talking about here. We are talking about Atma avidya. Correct? Okay. Now, he also says, avidya is anadi. So if somebody asks the question, okay, my ignorance of myself is what brought me here, is why I am suffering. If you say, when did I become ignorant? why should God have created this ignorant being? What happened? Why should I not be knowledgeable before itself? If we say, so when did this ignorance begin is the question. Because we don't have difficulty, we told about Punarjanma, etc. We have had previous births, etc. We have been told. And so many Janmas have been there. This Janma was caused by what? By karma, by my own karma. And that karma was caused by my own self-ignorance. Okay, then what about that previous karma, Janma? It was caused by the previous Janma. And ignorance was there. So when did this ignorance start? If we say, suppose we say my self-ignorance started some 10,000 Janmas ago. If somebody says, then the question will be, what was there before that ignorance? Something else must have been there before that ignorance. What must have been there? Before ignorance, what can be there? See, suppose darkness is there. The room is dark. How long it was dark? Oh, it was dark since last night. Since 10 o'clock last night, I turned off the light. It was dark. Oh, okay. So before darkness, what was there? Obvious. Light was there before darkness. So, before ignorance, what can be there? Only knowledge can be there. To say that there is no ignorance, we must say there is knowledge. To say there is no darkness, we must say there is light. Because only light is opposed to darkness. Nothing else is opposed to darkness. My presence in the room doesn't make the room bright. Nothing. No amount of wealth can remove the darkness. Only light can remove darkness. So this avidya is there. What is it that was there before avidya? Knowledge was there before avidya. Okay? Knowledge was there. But then, if knowledge was there, we say, ignorance cannot come if knowledge is there. Ignorance cannot come if knowledge is there. Knowledge is there, knowledge is there, knowledge is there, ignorance cannot come. So if knowledge was there, it should have been there all the time and there cannot be any ignorance. So we are not talking about memory, oh I forgot. So that kind of question doesn't arise here. So Atma Jnanam is there, means it will always be there. There cannot be Atma Jnanam, Atma Vidya. So therefore we can conclude from that this avidya has no beginning. Avidya has no beginning. So beginning in Sanskrit is Adi. And so he says Anadi Avidya here. In the first word he is saying Anadi Avidya. Anadi. It's an important appreciation we have. Avidya is Anadi. But avidya has an end. Avidya has no beginning, but it has an end. It ends when knowledge occurs. And because knowledge is opposed to ignorance, and when knowledge occurs, ignorance ends. And so we say avidya is anadi, and avidya has antam, has an end. So that is what he is talking about here, anadi avidya. Okay, so we will stop with that. We will continue and we will say that this anadi avidya is karana shariram. This anadi avidya is karana shariram. That is what he is going to say next. We will continue in the next class. Om swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam न्याय्येन मार्गेण महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ